you trust me? I cannot.
Next Wednesday.
You got a lot to learn about me.
Who do you trust when everyone
Are you tracking me?
has something to hide?
I will love this baby if it's mine.
Tyler Perry's Sistas, all new next Wednesday at 9. Watch it live on BET.
Okay, Sistas fans, it looks like they're dragging their feet releasing the 30-second promo for next week's episode 6 of season 3, entitled Hard to Get. So I just went ahead and decided to do a video going over the 15-second promo they did put out there yesterday, as well as the end credit promo we got at the end of this week's episode. So just so you know, if they release a 30-second promo that does have information and scenes and dialogue that weren't in the 15-second version or the end credit version, I will do a follow-up. So for this video, let's break it down. Again, this is season 3, episode 6, entitled Hard to Get. All right, so we have a scene where it looks like Fatima is approaching Andy in her office just to tell her about the situation where Karen called Zach's phone and she may have answered. Then there's the segment of the trailer that I feel like some people will feel like, Jeremy, it's misleading. Remember the whole thing where Tyler will cut the trailers to make it sound like something is going to happen, but then it doesn't? Well, it looks like Karen saying, "Can't you trust me?" And Andy's like, "I cannot." And people are probably like, maybe she's talking to Gary instead of Karen. But then again, you're always saying the same thing about the whole Zach and Fatima, who's Angie. It's like, Jeremy, I don't think Fatima's talking to Zach in that clip, but it turns out that she was. But yeah, it seems like maybe Karen's talking to Andy and Andy's like, "I can't." So I wonder what the whole thing about not trusting her is. I'm guessing it has to do with what Fatima said about their back and forth over the phone. Could be wrong, but just saying. Then speaking of Zach, it looks like Jake is over at Zach's new place, probably to discuss some business, but something just seems a bit off since Jake has like a smug look on his face and Zach looks like, "Oh man, here we go." And the promo was saying about, not knowing who to trust and, things like that. So it might be effective misdirection, but I do feel like Jake is somebody who is coming over, maybe to ask how'd you know about the stock. I know you told Gary that you just guessed, but tell me what's really going on. Hopefully that's not the case, but only time will tell. Speaking of Gary, by the way, Andy's on the phone with Gary asking, "Are you tracking me?" And the thing is, Gary says, "I think you're going to want me to come by." And Andy kind of rushes off the phone saying, "Oh, I got another phone call," and hangs up. She opens the door to her apartment and she's shocked because, well, what's going on here? If you looked at the spoilers that I showed weeks ago, you know that Gary moved all of Andy's things and had them placed in the penthouse area of her apartment complex. So Gary was the one to purchase a penthouse suite. Andy's going to walk into her apartment and everything's going to be gone. That's what's going on there. Now, aside from that, the only other thing to discuss is Aaron and Karen here. Well, yeah, Danny is actually on the phone with Preston. Preston's at the salon and he's basically saying, "So what are you up to?" And Danny's like, "I'm about to go on a date." Because remember, Logan said, "Hey, there's a restaurant close to the airport and you want to go out after you get off of work so we can talk, get to know each other." Now, later on, I guess later that night after Danny gets from her date, it depends. I don't really know if she's going on her date wearing her airport attire or not, but we know that Danny and Preston eventually end up at Danny's place. And Danny's like, "You got a lot to learn about me." And I'm like, here we go again. So Preston did say after his date with Tanya he would contact her, but hopefully this conversation goes well for a change, even though at this point I'm just used to them being apart. So go ahead and date other people. But then the final scene is the fact that Aaron's asking Karen everything we've been asking. He's like, "So you think it's Zach's?" "I know, I'm sure of it." "Is it because you're actually sure or you don't want it to be my baby?" And then Aaron's like, "I will love this baby if it's mine." Basically, that doesn't mean necessarily if the baby isn't his, he won't be with Karen. But something tells me, why would Karen want to be with somebody who's not going to love that baby just because it isn't his? That's not to say it's Aaron's obligation, but to realize that that baby's going to be a part of that relationship if he chooses to be with Karen, well, only time will tell. Which makes me wonder, what if Karen agreed to his proposal in the middle of season 3 and got married that night before knowing she was pregnant, had the baby, and it was Zach's, what do you think would have happened? Do you think he would have dumped her, divorced her? Probably, showing that nasty side that Karen has wanted him to show for quite some time. But regardless, next week looks pretty good. Let me know your thoughts on the brief teaser we got for Hard to Get. Like I said, if we get the 30-second promo soon, I will do a follow-up video. But aside from that, hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe because we are less than 115 people away from 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out when I post content. And if you would like to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.